if you're a regular video subscriber, you may remember the exciting day we had when Art Muglia donated his B-25 model, and it is a giant scale model of a B-25, of course something I have a lot of interest in, to the Teterboro Museum. It was a really nice day. I got to meet some of the people from the Warbirds, an RC club from South Jersey, and they've invited me to come down and participate in one of their meetings, share a day of technology with them. This model truly was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. It was truly unbelievable to see this. The pilots, the trailer that he had to carry it around, the wings. I mean, just look at the size of this as they were putting it together. Anyway, we won't belabor that. We're gonna go down with Joe Bescher, who's here in the shop with Art. We're going to go down to Art's shop. Again, we've been invited by Joe Bescher and Art to share some of Control Line technology with their group. That group is called the Warbirds. We're looking forward to a great day. It really was something special, and if you haven't seen that video, that was from last year's subscriber tapes, and you can see how big it is, and I think it's an 18-foot span again. And we can't wait to see the shop. It's always, and I think I'll emphasize this again, always good to share the technology with other modelers, no matter what event they're in. You can always learn something, and there's a good chance they can probably learn something from me. So it'll be a fun afternoon. I'm getting ready to pack up and go down there now. Yeah, I signed it. What's up there, Ray? My vision going through one must have bothered you. Went out tonight, Ed. You want to shoot video? They took one more day in counting. Nobody would be Hey, Butch, are you pregnant? This is what you're supposed to say. Now it's a baby elephant. You want to see it? For that wonderful introduction, I really appreciate being down here. Well, that's their Art's shop. It's just a little bigger than mine. I think about 4,000 square feet. But anyway, I do have a shop. I work out of my house. I started a business 15 years ago when I got laid off from Ford Motor Company, and I decided I would try to see if I could support myself by making model airplanes.
Wow.
This is the only shirt I own, so don't look.
You always say Italian? You know that cross.
It's turned out to be, for me, in my private adventure, Joe really didn't hit on the things I find important. I work about 15 to 18 hours a day in my house. I have developed some of the products you may or may not be familiar with. I do consulting work for some of the bigger companies that are in the Control Line world. Basically, what I try to do are the jobs and the things that nobody else is willing to do. And I'll pass these parts one by one around. I'll start with Art. Please pass them around at the end of the night, see if they can wind up back in this basket.
Where's Chuck?
When I look around here, I can tell you, I mean, without reservation, I am building a B-25 right now. It's not going to be like the B-17 or like I saw Art's, that's how I got to meet Art, by the way. But it's a unique model. Nobody in the Control Line aerobatic event has ever done a B-25. Nobody up till last year had ever flown a 4-cycle engine and made it into the top 5. I did that for the first time. Nobody had ever used a throttle control. In Control Line aerobatics, there's no way to control the engine. You let it run till it runs out of gas. Now there's a system for using with Servio's Egris's Z-Tron. We developed that with Joe's help over the course of last year. So there's been a lot of nice, friendly things. I don't know how many people here have ever flown Control Line, or even, I could walk around the room here tonight and I can learn from the people building giant scale, and I guarantee you can learn something from me. I don't know how much, but I know there's something. Now, some of the things that I've done They don't relate to have, in RC scale, the models are large in size, weight is not a factor, not as big a factor. In our event, an 800 square inch model can't weigh more than 12 pounds. Very, very difficult to make a model that light. It's almost, the only thing probably that would relate to in an RC event is an electric plane. What we're making are gas-powered electric planes. They're extremely fragile. Lightweight and strong is the two very, very high things. When you push the envelope, there's a point at which you cannot make that part out of balsa wood anymore. When you want to make something light and strong, there's a limit to balsa wood. It limits out in certain ways. So what's happened in the past couple of years, up until 2 years ago, nobody had ever flown a plane with a carbon fiber fuselage. I have 2 of them now. They've both flown at the Nationals, both made it into the top 5. Nobody had ever flown or made a carbon fiber wing plane from a molded wing. I know at RC that's a common thing. Bob Violet does it. In control line, the wings are much bigger, and as an example, an 800-inch wing needs to weigh about 12 ounces to be competitive. So you see there's a very extremely hard envelope to work in. What is nice is over the past couple of years, technology has evolved. It's not filtered into the modeling world yet, but it's coming. And I'm going to pass around some of the things that over the course of me learning this, and I've started in '96 with molding, I've started at the very beginning learning the basics, and I've gotten to the point now where some of the things I make, I'm very proud of. You're all welcome to squeeze them and touch them and feel them, but like I said, at the end of the night, whoever the last one is, try to put it back in the basket. Now, I'm sure you've all seen, and there's plenty of them here, a rubber mold that you make a cowling from. Is there anybody that's never seen a rubber mold or doesn't know how you make a molded fiberglass cowl? Okay, we're going to let you hold on to this tonight. The trick with making a rubber mold, whether it's e-glass or carbon fiber, is you can get the part out. The part can be virtually any shape. It doesn't need to have a reverse draft angle. It doesn't need to be like a funnel. So you can absolutely make the most compound curves. You can wind up at the end. I think there's one in here. This is a rough part that comes out of this mold. And that's like those big radial cowlings. They're a little bit nicer to molding. Another criteria, when you make an RC kits, there's a lot of sales, so you can tool up to make professional molds. I make very small amounts, but I make them for a very small market, so that the tooling can't be expensive. All this stuff is very inexpensive, by the way. I'll just pass that around for anybody that wants to touch it, see what it is.
What kind of rubber do you use to make that mold?
Special molding rubber is made by a company called Smooth-On in Pennsylvania.
Is it like a 2-part system?
It's a 2-part 10-to-1 mix ratio, very inexpensive, non-toxic.
That's not Celestic, is it?
No. Anybody, I would be safe to say, anybody, even a person building for a year's sake, as long as you could figure the basics, it would have no trouble at all making a rubber mold of a custom part. Now, the objective of molding doesn't suit my business as well as your business. You're in a better position because if you make a model, now I'm assuming not all models here are kits, some of them are custom made, one of a kind. If you make that P51 carved the cowling, you've just made, if you make a mold of it, you've made the cowl for every person that ever builds that plane. So that's kind of nice. Now, what I did over the years, I wrote articles, some of them have been in model aviation. I've earmarked the page. These are various things that are really entry level. This is making landing gear doors. I'm going to pass these around. Again, they're earmarked. These are articles that I've written. No. You're right in saying it's a silicone rubber. There are 2 kinds of silicone rubber. One is not appropriate for what we do. The one that is appropriate, relatively inexpensive. 10 pounds is about $80. That's about a pound of it there, so that'd be probably $10 worth of rubber. The advantage of it is you don't need any mold release agent, nothing sticks to it. You just keep pouring it in, dropping it out. If you intend to make more than 30 parts, you put a silicone spray release agent in, it prolongs the life of the mold. That's all it really does. Now, one of the parts that I did not invent, I saw somebody made one at the Nationals, and I copied it. They didn't want to make them. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of laser-type models use a landing gear, and it's made out of aluminum. This part in think we have an aluminum one here. Just for a reference, this is the part it's molded from.
Oh, jeez.
Usually, the ratio you can make an aluminum part to a carbon fiber part is 3 to 1. You can make it a third the weight. A half, anybody can do. A high-tech application can be about a third, and you'll still have roughly the same strength. Now, a couple of years ago, I wish somebody knew who this was. They had a plane at the Nats, and they had a 5-bladed prop on. Does anybody know who that was at the Nationals? Right. And I went up to the gentleman, I said, gee, that's real nice. Do you fly with that prop? And he said, can't fly with a 5-bladed prop. So I went home. And I said, well, he says it can't be done. So I was making a Seafire at the time, which is a scale 5-blade on a Griffin. And I said, well, let's see if we can fly at the Nationals and compete and come in the top 5. This is the prop. And that's a 5-bladed, it's been flown at the Nationals, has about 300 flights on it. Handmade, it's a molded carbon fiber. And that is, for somebody, now I just can picture an application that I guess nobody makes 5-bladed props. If somebody was making a Seafire, you wanted to know the technology of doing that, I think it's not out of the realm of an advanced level. Sea Fury. Anything with a Griffin engine up to the counter-rotating ones was Seafire, Spitfires, all 5 blades. I'm not a scale builder, by the way. I don't have a lot of this knowledge right at the tip of my tongue.
26. 5 blades?
Now, I'm sure every plane here has a canopy. Has anybody ever molded their own canopy from a plug?
Where's Jerry Carter? We're trying to do that.
Okay.
I don't know where Jerry Carter is.
He's over there.
My grandchildren's gonna graduate first.
It's a lot better if you use somebody else's oven when you start. Okay, this is canopy that goes on a plane that I designed, a Seafire. It's a small canopy relative to the size. It's made from a plug. And what you basically do is make a wooden plug. This is carved out of a piece of balsa wood. It's got an auto primer finish, and I'm going to go into the primer thing. That's where the real gain in technology is lately. And from that, of course, what we do with this is make a rubber mold. It's got the calendar. We make this, and I didn't bring it because it's at the vacuum pump. We make the equivalent of this for this part. Now we're done with this. And we put a material in here called Procast. Procast is a solid resin, a castable resin. The castable resin now, we have this part, when we pull it out of the mold, made out of resin. And we can make 1 million canopies, and every one of them will be absolutely perfect to the original part. And so this is just one. I didn't know if anybody, when you go with oven mitts and pulling stuff over, that's fine if you only need one. If you wanted to use this plug, you might get 3 before the primer deteriorated. But this, once you make the Procast mold, for whatever model it is or whatever canopy, you then forever have a canopy and a piece that goes right on top of that.
But do you have to put suction holes in here?
No, you did it in the oven.
No, it's in the Procast part. There's tiny little holes that you don't see in the part that suck this down in. But it's only in the part, this part only is used for a plug to make the plug that makes the canopy.
Okay,
If you use
when you pull this, when you pull a plastic,
right,
right? What do you use the vacuum to pull this?
the vacuum machine. It's a special machine.
Yeah, and you don't need any holes in this to pull this tight?
This would be mounted on a base, and the holes would be all around the base.
Okay, and it just sucks around?
And it goes in, what happens, the sheet gets pushed in, sheet of material. It has an infrared light on, you've seen it, obviously.
Yeah.
George Venturini has a machine, by the way, if anybody wants to ever use it. He's dying for something to mold, and he has a $1,000 machine and nothing to mold, so go see him. But anyway, if anybody had never seen that, that's been part of what I've done. Has anybody here ever used a tuned pipe on a 2-cycle engine? Like the pattern guys used to use?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what tuned pipes are then? This is just a sample of some of the ones, these are the rough kit, before they're actually put together. To see, they're made out of a material like a sock, done with a high temperature resin, a special resin.
Yeah, light, and they're pretty strong.
The weight saving is about half of an aluminum. I think aluminum ones are about double in weight. I've made some special ones for helicopter people, and they've been amazed how light they are, but I don't know, again, I don't fly the event, so I don't know the implication of like how light could you make it if you really had to. I brought another mold out only because this is one I like. I wanted to show this. This is a really neat little trick, probably scale builders could use. When I made this original, the original Spitfire, there was no aluminum on this. Now, can anybody guess how I got the aluminum in there?
You pulled up on it, didn't you?
No, it's as easy, you're gonna just, I wanted to have the ribs in the canopy, okay? And you can figure how that aluminum got in there? It's stay-bright silver solder, just glued in place with hot stuff.
Is that right?
And once you prime it and sand it, it pops right through. So that's a neat little trick I'll bet scale guys could use. Silver, stay-bright silver solder, it's expensive, so you may not want to use that.
Solder on it?
No, you just glue it on. But you see how nice it imprints into the final product? Like on a scale model, that.
He rolled it on here and glued it.
Just glue it. Yeah, exactly. And it's very easy to do. It's not real difficult to
I'll be damned.
envision. So then what I had now is I have the original canopy mold that has no relief, and this one, so I can have two different canopies from one casting. So that was something that was interesting. That was nice.
Whoa.
Does anybody in the place know what air epoxy light is?
Yep.
Okay, everybody here already uses that, there's no point. A lot of guys in control line stun had no idea what air epoxy light was. They use it in home-built aviation. I got a friend of mine who owns a big business, a distributorship, Brodak. Has anybody ever heard of Brodak?
Yeah.
Okay, familiar with Brodak?
He's also,
He sells this, I sell it, it's in smaller, but we don't use the kind of amount you would use on this. And if you buy a quart, usually you throw 3/4 of it away, or they don't stir it. That's the worst scenario is don't stir
He
it.
also sells Randolph's in small quantities.
What he sells is Brodax, not Randolph.
What he buys is Randolph and then cuts it down and sells it as Bodak.
No,
That's what it
absolutely
says
not,
in his ad.
absolutely not.
That's what it says in his ad.
That's what it says in his. Let me go through this, so there may be somebody that, this would be information you'd want to know, have to know. Okay. The original idea of this product was mine. John Brodak came to my house. We had talked about the business proposition of him marketing this product. John Brodak has the financial resources to do it, and I have the technology to make this an appropriate product for model aviation. Randolph boat that you buy at the airport is fine. It has a very high shrink rate. May or may not even be a problem in RC, but in the event we fly where the models are very delicate, it is a problem. So, he had George Anderson, who's the head chemist at Randolph, and I sat down and we came up with several minor adjustments to the product so that it wouldn't overshrink, and also so it would shrink enough. Did a year of testing on it, and it is now one of the nicest things that it is the primer that they make. To me, I use it on my mold making now instead of oil primer. It's much easier to sand. I can go right into the oven with it. And this is what it is it may be that Randolph already had sold this product because they make thousands of finishing products. But this product itself, for modeling, is like, to me, a dream come true relative to oil primer. I find sanding oil primer to be like a big pain in the ass. This sands, especially wet, just beautiful. If anybody wants to open a can, take a brush, paint me something, we'll sand it 20 minutes later.
well, just leave it, I'll do it tomorrow.
Actually, Randolph, at least in nitrate, makes both tightening and non-tightening.
There's no Brodak nitrate. Now, the reason there's no nitrate is a simple reason. We could market it the way SIG does, marketing Brodak dope. You have to realize, 90% of the people are entry-level people in our event, not in RC, so it doesn't matter. People seem to be more knowledgeable, but we bring new people in, they buy a can of nitrate, a can of butyrate, they go home, I'm out of nitrate, I'll just pour it in. And then there's a catastrophe. Now, the age-old thing that people used to do, at least with SIG products, put on nitrate finishing, go over it with auto primer or nothing, and then put butyrate. Some people have experienced problems when the nitrate and butyrate cut together and you get a chemical mix that you get alligator skinning, you get various forms of eye pulling problems. Really not a good idea for our event. I wouldn't say it's not a good idea for your event, but you can afford more weight. In our event, we allow for an 800 square inch model, roughly 7 ounces for the whole finish, and it must be buff. So there's no way we can leave on even one postage stamp of extra paint in that model. Now, it even goes down to the point, and this is the latest thing, a fellow named Wayne Triven came up with this invention about a year ago, did the tooling for it. Let me have one, and I said, I need to buy the tooling. And so he let me copy the tooling. It's Wayne Triven's invention. This is a carbon fiber fuel tank for a controlling sump plant.
Jeez, how many ounces?
That's a 6-ounce tank, it weighs 19 grams. This is a cross-section, a scrap piece, if anybody wants to squeeze it, or just an extra piece. That, I have, in all the models I have that have carbon fiber fuselage, they all have carbon fiber tanks. The resin, again, is Epine 862, that was Wayne's, to give you an idea of Wayne's skill level, Wayne builds his own motors from scratch. So Wayne is not your average modeler that just fell off the banana boat. He is really a high pick. The nice thing about Wayne is he's willing to share anything. You look on his website and there's directions on how to build your own motor. I don't know that I can build my own. Maybe I can, maybe I can't, I don't know. But Wayne sold me, he sent me his tooling, I copied it. It's that tanks are made with compression molding. There's aluminum on both sides. It's squeezed under seat clamps, and that's how you get them to be that light. One of the things I know is that you guys use big back plates with spinners. You can make a big back, that's just a piece of rubber. But an imprint of a 3.5-inch spinner, didn't design Texas and 8 already. Yeah, well that's, I made him a spinner for his, that's for his Mustang. For anybody that might be interested, I brought the magazine that has the carbon fiber gear article in it. Anybody wants to look at it, borrow it, steal it, whatever. This article has one of my articles on making canopies. Again, a lot of the stuff is not really ultra high-tech. I don't think it's out of the realm of advanced level modelers. Certainly if you have a new guy in a club that's monocoating planes, this is not what he's going to want to do, but I can tell by looking around here, there's a lot of advanced skill level guys here, so. That's another canopy article. Checking the color of our here. Dumb guy. What's the ratio of dummies to no dummies? They're all dummies.
Fucking dummies.
Anyway, for somebody that might be interested, this is an aluminum backplate that goes on a 2 1/4. This goes on a Mustang. This is the mold, this is the part. And that's real simple stuff. I have pages here. I don't have traditional business cards because usually I hand these out wherever I do a demonstration. And if there's not enough, take them. Now, the thing I can do that I can offer as it's a freebie. If anybody is really interested in doing any of this kind of work, I'm in my shop from 1 to 5. The phone number's on there. I answer email twice a day, morning and night. Feel free to call me. I'm glad to help. I'm up in Joe's area, up in Rutherford. If you like stopping by my shop, feel free. Just call me ahead of time. I'll make sure I don't have my hands in epoxy buckets or anything. If you have any special projects that you can think might be worth my expertise, it's always free. I've given Art 4 videos that show me working in my shop. Please borrow them, pass them around, show them to people. Now I know how he got so wealthy. Wayne Triven is his name. Oh, and here's an extra one. I wanted to bring this one up. This is a video we did, a special video on using something you may not even know of in the RC world. Candy apple Brodak dope, which you think is Randolph, but it really isn't. It's candy apple colors. They make them now. John Brodak sells them. You can buy them off my website or off of John's website. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be the same material. They come in 4-ounce jars and pints, and that shows a lot of the tricks of making candy apple custom finishes. All colors. Oh, yes, candy apple. Pearls, he's doing pearls now, though. He's got flat olive drab, I think he's only military color. There's no, I know what you're asking, for a flat jet gray and that, no. But the nice thing about John Brodak, because he's in a small market, if enough people want something, he'll go out and have it made. If enough people ask him to do, the way we have Brodak goes, because I asked him. Yes, it's as fuel proof as any butyrate product, up to about 10% nitro. It's fuel resistant. If you pour raw fuel on it, it's not like an epoxy finish. But if you pour burnt fuel on it, up to 10% nitro it is. It's got a real quick dry rate. The nice thing about it, I was going to try to do a demo here, but it's not, it's just not appropriate. It's just, people may not even know what I'm doing. Because I take a propeller, I paint it with a brush, 20 minutes later paint it again, 20 minutes later paint it again. It takes an hour to do a demo, then you buff it out. And it's a miracle. That trick is, it's hard, but it's not balsable. You do balsa wood, you've got to sand it. But you can do a propeller and make it a black mirror, look like a piano key, in less than an hour with Brodak. You brush it or you have to spray? It doesn't matter, you're going to buff it. When you buff it, it doesn't matter. Take the scratches right out.
What's your website? Do you have,
WindyArnowski.com. Pretty cool. Let's throw all back in there when you're done. Now, there's one other, they shook hands. So the overall thing is, I think all modelers, if they had something like that in common, probably get along with your neighbor better. Probably wouldn't be your retirement would be a lot. You'd probably live longer too. Starting to see guys that don't have hobbies just. There you go. Yeah. I have one, this is not related to the demonstration, I'm just going to break away. A friend of mine passed away 3 weeks ago, a good friend. He left a tremendous amount of modeling stuff, of which I had one of his engines in my house. You guys all know what this is, a YS-52. It's been run about an hour, and his widow would like $100 for it if anybody would want it. It is in excellent running condition. Okay. The box is here.
The box is extra though, you never get
This was Don Nixon's engine, and we just try and gather when it, oh, you don't pay cash, I keep it up. The box is here.
It's not the duty, remember that 15% goes to the house.
Anyway, does anybody have any questions at all that would be interesting to answer? I don't want to type a whole line.
I have a question about carbon fibers.
Okay.
You know, I see a lot of products like a race car, things like that with it, where they're using, must be clear resins, because you can see the weave in the fabric. And they're always magnificent. I mean, the orientation of the fibers are exactly in line with the axis of the partner.
Sure.
This doesn't happen automatically.
It happens through two things. You have professional people that do it for a living. They screw up parts by 100 and they reject them and then they sell the good ones. It's as simple as that. I have yet to meet a person that does any amount of, I made 3 fuselages before I got one that I could apply. I made a total of about, I'm going to guess, 8 or 10 wing panels before I got one that I would use. Now, it's normal in the molding field to make mistakes, learn from them, orient the fabric better, get a better squeeze out of the resin. I mean, professional people do it a lot quicker than what I am. I consider myself an amateur because I only do it in small amounts. If I did this 8 hours a day in a factory environment and could go to the boss and say, what am I doing? But on the other hand, I just went down. Anybody here like Ducati motorcycles? Yeah. Okay. I went and looked at a Ducati front fender. I could make a fender better than that in on my first try. I mean, that's a $15,000 900 motorcycle. So I'm saying not all carbon fiber is good. A lot of times when you look at what you think is good carbon fiber, it's fake. It's cosmetic carbon fiber. In other words, they take a part and lay carbon fiber. The dashboard parts on some of the cars, the high-end cars, there's an aluminum part. They just wrap it around the aluminum vacuum bag.
What's the
every time?
the hand of this stuff like? Well, a hand, if you're talking about fabric and you take a piece of silk and put it on your hand, it drapes right around it.
No,
Take a piece of-
carbon fiber doesn't bend it.
So how come when you see something like a carbon fiber spinner, again, it looks like the hand of that material was excellent because it just shapes right around wherever it was molded.
The guys who do it are professionals, they know how to do it. I'm learning little by little. Each year I'm getting more proficient, but I'm certainly not at the level of the people in Germany that make the RC kits. I mean,
Wasn't it incredible?
I mean, you understand, their budget is a lot more than mine. Their shop is a little bigger, maybe even than our shop. I don't know.
Prices go with it.
And I noticed at the end of the video, the guy had his wife come in and write a check. If I grew up my wife here, and honey, write a check, she'd be writing to the divorce lawyer. No, I mean, there's a relationship between how much money you have to spend, like anything in life, there's no secret to this. You want a Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari or something, and you can write the check, you'll have some real nice stuff. If you gotta go to the junkyard, like Junkyard Wars, and then at the end of it you have a Mercedes, I think you're a special guy. I think that's something. I mean, we're all Junkyard Wars, really, or else we'd be working at Boeing. Now, I know two people, good friends of mine that work at Boeing, and I ask them questions, they give me answers, so I have access. I know the person at Shell Oil that is a modeler and the head of the tech department, so I have access to stuff maybe normal, average people would not know the 800 Shell EPON number. I don't know. And the people seem friendly maybe because I'm a good bullshit artist. I don't know how much of that has helped me, but I know in 4 or 5 years I've been able to work on making parts. I enjoy doing it. I work a lot of hours, and I enjoy bringing these products to whoever can use them. I also, as a side thing, I have a library of 800 videos, all of which detail how to make model airplanes of various types, sizes, shapes. None of them are RC. They're all controlled. But for instance, Brodak Dope videos, and I think Joe has a set of those tapes, anybody that had never painted a plane before wanted to watch those, you'd learn an awful lot in a very short amount of time. And as an example, that one that I gave Art, that Candy Apple one, is a sampling of that. The videos all sell for $15, and most people, when they visit my shop, take 2 or 3 home and don't pay for them. It's not a big secret. But they learn, they enjoy the world of model planes. I have managed, through some miracle of good luck, to be a professional model airplane builder for 15 years. And still own my house. My kids are both through college. They both have their own businesses.
You're a lucky guy.
I don't know if I'm lucky, fortunate, or if the Lord is smiling on me, or I feel lucky to be. I feel lucky to be part of a group like this group that you've invited me down to share what I know.
We'll join up.
And I certainly would. But the biggest thing I always find is there's not one person ever in the room that I can't learn something from. And I always look at everybody, he's not a beginner, he's a beginner. And then I find out he knows something I don't know. And I love to exchange the information. A lot of what I know revolves around model aviation. But, for instance, I don't know how to fix an electronic servo. I don't know how to do what Sergio does. But I'm certainly always willing to share what I know. And that's the joy I get out of doing it. I could make a lot more money doing other things. But I really enjoy model planes. I really love being involved. I belong to 4 different clubs, and every one of them is a unique blend of people that always have their little rivalries and their little, well, whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I think it's, if more people in the world would build model planes, just be a better world. Well, one of my goals is always to try to get more people involved in it, if they can. And some people come in and they're not thrilled by it. My son is not thrilled by it. I took him flying, he says, "Tell me about it." You know? So I don't know the answer to the question. If I can't get my own son interested, I don't know how.
Let me just reiterate that I have these 5 tapes here. If anybody wants to borrow them to look at them, we'll be here in the library and to the basement.
Let's sign them out.
Well, of course you got to.
And I will add to your library anytime I come down here if you keep a running poll, somebody tell me what you have. There's always new stuff that, I think I already gave you a copy, the RC National Scale event.
Yeah.
The commentary's funny because you gotta realize, it's control line people watching RC people, so the guy starts a jet and I'm saying, Jesus, is he gonna get this thing running, or are we going to lunch or what? He's pumping, it's moving, lawn blowers and it. Now, to me, that's funny because our planes usually But you'd come to us and say, how does he do that without getting dizzy? So I don't know.
Charlie Fowler's flying.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, that's pretty, I almost got killed with that. Charlie's a nice guy, but that's a dangerous thing. I don't know. Charlie and Dizzy and fast planes and, I wouldn't let Joe Becher fly over.
I agree.
Am I in there?
I agree with you. I heard that before.
Anyway, I just want to mention one other real quick thing, that if anybody is ever interested in watching some control lines or participating, coming to one of our contests, I'll certainly give Jody the information. We're in Lincoln Park, our field is... Yeah, and if you just wanted to see it, now I was totally thrilled, I got invited to go see Sergio, you know, I had never seen RC electric planes fly. And my gut impression was, on the way to the field with my wife, I was saying, yada-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the first guy took one with 2 engines and threw it, and the thing went up like a rat. I said, yes, we were live. How nice. No oil, no gas, no this, no Brodak dope, no carbon fiber. Yeah, and I could spend time with the family if you buy me one of these for Christmas. I think she's teetering on the idea of getting me one. Anyway, one of my goals is in the near future, I want to get involved with Sergio's help doing some, the electric RC, which I really found interesting. I found that to be a nice compliment for what I do. And there's certainly room in the world for all these things to coexist. Everywhere I go in his model is the Ram Show, England. I find people that are just as friendly and nice as could be. Almost never run into somebody that's a sourpuss, and if you do, so what? You know?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, Chuck, how'd you get in this up?
One question about the carbon fiber. This carbon fiber belongs.
Okay, that's cool. Unidirectional. Fibers going one way.
Both rigid and flexible.
Okay.
But I noticed these props, Misslick props, some Bali props, they're made of carbon fiber. And they have what looks like a glass weave or a cloth weave. Is that carbon fiber woven?
It's the outer skin, yeah. They make an outer skin. They make like a paper doll. Okay, what they do, if they don't make that, I've seen those props around.
I have them.
Yeah, they have, what they do,
Glass was black.
well, carbon fiber can be,
Fiberglass, but it's black.
it can be a unidirectional.
That's,
They make every possible size. Okay.
it's a beautiful thing to look at. It's
Okay, you can see. Now,
there's a weave. You see the weave?
right, you see where it ends? So what he does, this is the old reverse, see where it ends on it? Okay, and it's very nice work. He puts that like a paper doll, the shape of this into the mold, wets it out, fills it with carbon fiber. Now, I guarantee you could break one of the unidirectional ray. Yeah, it's 2 skins. And now what he does, okay, when he joins it with the same resin. And then this has to be post-cured. I'm sure this is post-cure resin. So all this work gets done before the part gets post-cured. And then at some future time, and it doesn't matter when, it could be 100 years later, he puts this in an oven at a certain temperature for 4 hours, and 4 hours at another temperature, 4 hours at another temperature, for 16 hours. And then it comes out at the end.
They cost 60.
Yeah, it's a lot. If you saw how much work he's making one of these, you'd think it's a bargain. But he's probably got, these are made in Germany or?
Czechoslovakia.
Okay, the communist countries had access to this when they dissolved these space shuttles, and they had a lot of trained people that know how to do it.
The ones in Australia, they look like this on the front, and on the back they have.
Well, Bali is a whole different thing.
They have a
Bali,
weave on the back, but they're solid,
Yeah.
they're not hollow.
Bali props are a whole different, that's not the same as this. The material is different. And if they break one, you'll notice not much of a Bali prop is fiber. Maybe a third of it is what I'm saying. This is a much better high-end product. A Bali prop is made like for cheap cost to get it.
We could take bids on that, start at 100.
Yeah. Oh, it's excellent.
Break like wood.
Oh, he's got that grip there, the smoky, you make these, the more grip like that. The Bali props. Right. You almost can bend them back like this, right? Like when you, well, if you can heat it, you can heat it, bend it.
That's how they change the pitch.
Yeah, if you wanna make this, what is the pitch on this? Well, maybe the hollow ones you can't. Can you do hollow ones? No. I don't know.
The Bali, you can change the Bali, you can.
If you got an old Bali prop, I'll change your pitch for you right now.
Boom, done. Any picture one.
Oh, a beautiful thing.
That's real nice. How much do these props cost? That's beautiful workmanship. What size is that?
My unit? You don't want it? That's how you got my stuff. I've done that someplace. Oh, you're lucky to win stuff. That's what we're gonna do. Pretty hard to stop. Wait, my God. Don't waste the new device. Don't waste the new device. Where did you get it? Okay, that's it. But this is for guys that don't want to pay attention.
Absolutely. Exactly what you think of fiberglass is. It goes down to, so you're already sold. Carbon fiber goes down to 3 ounces.
I've never seen it sold.
That's all, yeah, George bought it.
I'm gonna make about 4 or 5 of them. What about that?
I want one.
CSD, yeah. Pull up, yeah, she'll have it.
All right, gentlemen, anything else from this great guy? Appreciate it. Roll out. Yes, once I wrote the little camel here, Robert Camel, I did the article for Model Airplane News. I lent a set of plans and the instructions and the article, anybody want, pay what I paid for, you said, hold up.
$15, what a bargain.
No, I had an airplane with military colors.
Oh, okay.
Painted
I'll
with
tell you what,
balls and balls.
I'll put it in the newsletter and then fair check.
It wasn't a big bit right.
Anybody hear what John had to say?
We restored
What was that, the county? Yeah, the little camel he had here last month, he's got the prints. And the article, $15, anybody wants them? Okay?
That's a magazine. Oh, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Bayshard's latest invention.
Oh, let's see. Stop by.
No, this is what we're gonna get Joe Bayshard to fly.
I saw him fly before.
He needs it.
That's that little motor.
You wanna talk about it?
Well, if you got a minute.
Fellas, get some attention here.
This is a little electric airplane, not radio control, it's free flight right now. Frank Bassano, who's here, I'd like him to,
Seen him around here somewhere.
like to acknowledge that he designed and built it. I supplied the motor. I got the motor from Mabuchi. That's that little thing that's about 3/32 of an inch round and about 5/8 of an inch long. I don't know how many grams or milligrams it weighs, but yeah, I know, well, you know.
They ought to go a little.
You hold it this way, it's okay.
You're right.
So I gave the motor to Frank Fasano last Tuesday night at the breakfast meeting, and he was there, came out yesterday with this thing, plus 2 others. He made 2 other airplanes, but this is the most viable. But he finds that there isn't quite enough thrust in it. By the way, the battery in there is a little hearing aid battery. Little thing weighs only 2 grams. But now I posed the question, Mabuchi's the one that makes these motors, so I posed the problem to them, and they are already in the works with a geared motor, geared version of this. So, Bassano, Frank is here, I think?
Yeah, he's over there.
There he is, over there.
Quiet, not saying nothing. Sit him down.
Frank's the guy that did it, and all, so. Anyway, if you guys want to look at it, I've got it here, and it's got 2 other little models that he had designed and built. It's all his creation. My part in this is just obtaining the motor, supplying it to him.
I mean, quiet yet?
Yeah, he could, tell where, Frank, doesn't fly that well.
Hey! Come on, pay attention over here.
That's what it is.
No, we're gonna have Sandy gonna have one talk, that's a little courtesy, while the 50/50s are being sold. Stewart. I don't know why I call him Sandy.
Your name is George, is that right?
Yeah, he's got something here he wants to talk about.
Yeah, we talked about kidnapping.
Have your attention, please. Hey! Do I listen when you talk? Who the fuck are you? Shut the hell up.
It's a family tape, come on, guys.
There are a lot of people buying what they call a Source Star. The Source Star, it comes with the motor, the battery, the charger, the plane is complete except for the speed controller. All you need to add is your radio. They sell for anywhere from $115 to $130. I don't sell it. This comes in blue and yellow, and this is called kickback, because I've done inverted with it, and I do rolls, etc. 2 weeks ago, I did inverted, and I ran out of power, and I was too low. So I put it back together. I said, I'm going to make a Sawbird out of it, right? So now I call it, instead of the Source Star, it's called the Sawbird, right? Hobby Lobby sells them. They're easy to find. We had a lot of fun with them. I've gotten 29 and a half minutes. Nickel metal hydride battery. Dan Bottles, I think, gets more than that. No! Come on, guys. Eddie, give me the courtesy of listening.
Just retired last.
Leon?
Yes, sir.
Let him finish his talk. He gets very much from out. Anyway, it's a fun plane. No oil, no cleanup, nothing. There's a whole bunch of us who fly that. We may make up a Source Star squadron one day and do formation flying, I don't know, but they are a lot of fun and they're easy to fly. Good, very relaxed.
If he could fly it, that's a testament right there.
Okay, you want to take a break and get a beer, whatever you want to do.
Now, this is Wendy back on camera, and if you haven't seen the shop, you don't know how big, this is 2 stories high, by the way.
Appreciate you giving me your attention.
It's a Balsa USA kit. It's covered with Coverite, painted with latex, and sprayed with Rust-Oleum clear flash. It's a joint venture. I met on how I anacone, built it, and I painted it, covered it, put all the controls in it. Weighs 19 pounds, requires a 4.2 in there. All this is, each one of these are hand masked to do, each one of the squares.
Bobby, quit that, Bob.
It hasn't been flown yet.
What do you cover that with?
Coverite, and it's painted with latex. Can't paint it.
Yeah.
Your granddaughter.
Which one?
Jesus Christ, I know she don't want me.
She said she wants to rent.
Want your money, that's what.
That's about it. I don't know what else to say.
So quarter scale or third scale?
Quarter. It's 77-inch wingspan. And it's a squadron color.
Is this the big one or the big one?
77 inch. No, this is...
The big one is a lot bigger.
No, there's a big one. He doesn't make a big one.
Yes, it does.
Well, the third scale one.
Yeah, this is small.
Yeah, this is the small.
The Volvo out here, who has a Volvo out here?
I'm just walking around here randomly looking at some of the things that, this is an amazing place. If you've never been here, I hope you enjoy looking at this video. This is a 2-story dedicated shop for building model planes. I don't know what else to say, because the DC-3 on it, look how big it is compared to my hand. Big fiberglass cowl. And you can see going down to the 2nd floor, which is a machine shop. Oh, Mitchell! Oh my God, I didn't even see this. All right. Going down to the machine shop. Anyway, I appreciated being invited up here and share what we know in the world of control line. This is always something special going on here. Probably not the last time we'll come down here. We're a nice group of guys.
That's my ticket on my phone.
These guys are like
And of course, unlimited beer and refreshments.
Scale airplane.
Chickadilly, this is for you. Big bike up there, big giant bike. There's a B-17 in the back.
Wendy, I want to make sure I got this guy's name.
And to get a little interview with the gentleman that makes these kits. You buy a kit, you get a free weekend in Czechoslovakia here or something. Look at this B-17 now, just picture. Paul Walker, eat your heart out. Look at this, all models here everywhere. Look at the walls are painted. Now we're going to probably have to do a planking job on our Mitchell, so I'm looking around for some planking tips, technology. Another big model here, another one back there. Models hanging on the ceiling. Get a load of how big this is. It's a really special place. I really have enjoyed being invited down here. Now here's the wing to the B-17 over here. Get a look at, here's some people, how big this wing is. Looks like the spruce goose here.
Wait.
PT-19. High aspect ratio
This man is the holder of the record for the world's most complicated kit to build. You want to show us that kit you got going over there? Come on, give us a little talk. We need to know the humorous side of Chuck Gill. We've seen the serious side, the side that hangs out in bars at night. Now we need to see the soft side. You can tell I interview people for a living, huh? Oh my God. Let's see one of your kits. This is Chuck Gill's kit.
This is a Zeroli design.
Okay.
P-38 Lightning. It's all machine cut, not laser cut.
Okay, no laser cutting, you can see that. Now, what kind of machines do you cut this with? Router bits?
No,
Or is that a secret? Bandsaw, okay.
Bandsaws, table saws, radial arm saws.
Here's Chuck's guarantee. If you don't like his kit, call Wendy.
My kit's fit. I can't buy wood that satisfies me, so I make all my own wood. I make all the sheet wood and sticks myself.
You have your own balsa cutters?
Yeah, yep.
Now, what do you say when you're looking for wood?
Can get everybody over here for a photograph, please?
When
You can't get it light enough or heavy enough, or?
No, I can't get the right density and the right size. So I grade my wood at least 4 times in every step of the operation. I grade it initially when I get delivery of the balsa blocks.
Okay, you get it
And I
from
rough grade them into light, medium, and hard. Then when I cut them, what comes off the saw, I grade not only for grain, but for density again. And the density changes. And then after I sand them, I grade them one more time. The reason for the grading is that on fuselage sheeting, which is 1/8 inch, I want a light wood so the modeler who has to bend this can sand it and shape it. For the wing sheeting on a Zeroli model, it calls for 3/32, and there I want a medium wood because the wing is doing the work for the airplane.
Okay.
When I make sticks, I want some wood to be medium and some wood to be hard or heavy.
Okay.
Particularly on fuselage stringers. The fuselage stringers are 1/8 by 1/4. And if you build an airplane this size, this is a 114-inch wingspan with 8 by 1/4 stringers. Every time you pick it up in the shop,
You squeeze it. Yeah, you squeeze it right.
So those, I grade the density of the wood so that they're applicable and you can work with the airplane.
Right. So each one is hand done. This is not like a bunch of 18-year-old kids that just want an assembly line. This is
No. Yeah. Well, Butch is my son Keith's father-in-law. He's the father of my daughter-in-law. He works with me, and my son works with me.
Chuck.
You can end.
Photo op.
Guys, come forward, please.
Wendy's right there, take the picture.
This is going right to the INS. You got your green cards, everybody?
All right, you got everybody in there? Search over here.
The who? Jesus.
Don't sit down.
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you, my friend.
One more?
Missing, yeah.
Okay, you can't see me. I can see you.
Your eyes open. Always open.
Notch to notch, but each notch is put in one by hand.
Okay. Right here.
So how come you don't see him this?
Oh, okay. You don't want me, give me that thing. In view of everybody. Oh, no.
Drawings, okay? Wendy's gonna pull the first one.
Mix them around.
Wait, I didn't get the fix with him. You ain't gonna get it in there anyhow. I got both of your tickets.
Here's the winner.
I have it. Yeah. Last three digits, 545. No, that's not right. That ain't right. No? Give me a number.
It just so happens.
482. By the way, I didn't tell you, if you won before, you can't win now.
Give me my money back.
What's the number?
545, the last three digits.
You don't know why you take it.
You might have it.
Why do you keep the ticket?
Because
Keep the ticket. Again. Oh.
somebody's gotta have it here.
I got it. They're so busy talking, they don't know it.
It's not on a 4 over there.
543, 544, 545, 546. 521. 545.
No, you cut wood. I wish I could get some 4-pound wood from you. You got any source for 4-pound wood? Sure.
I get it. But I get it, but every once in a while I have a friend that wants light wood. 4-pound wood.
I'm the guy. I'm your new friend. You know that old friend you used to have that wanted the 4-pound? I'm now the new guy.
4 to 6 pound wood is contest grade.
Yes.
Yeah, by and large. And zinc, for example, charges double.
Oh, yeah, they charge a fortune for it. I want it from you for free. I don't even want to pay for it.
But
I know Joe Besser. Triple the price. You know, they need a little personality. Let's see this wood, eh? Oh, that's nice.
This is 6.
That's nice. Seagram. Go, put this in the car.
That's about 4
I
pounds.
need some. Yeah, it's dirty. We're gonna get to be good friends. You don't want that. It's dirty. Yeah. So when am I invited to your house to pick out all the 4?
That's about 4.5 pound wood.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, Joe, keep this guy's phone number handy.
He's got my phone number.
I love the way you cut these out. You know, it might be 25. I got to do a lot of this cutting. Maybe I should find some guy like you that has a good saw.
They,
I haven't put a blade.
No, that's,
I haven't built mine yet.
that came from my shop, but Butch made that.
Yeah, you got a B25 here?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got a kit.
Joe Windy the kid.
Where's the B25 kit? Is that the one that was over there by the stairs?
Yep.
He made it?
He made it.
Are you, hey, Joe, are you gonna show me the machine shop before this day is over, or is there a secret machine shop downstairs or something? This guy Chuck Gill is an okay guy.
Don't let that get around now.
He's okay. Oh, Mitchell, I got plans to this one. Let's see that.
This is Zeroli's from about
Yeah.
1958.
Now this is your kit. You
No,
made this kit?
this is Butch's kit.
Oh, this is your kit.
It's an Airplane Works Smart product.
Okay.
And this is a reprint of the original article. When is it? What year? 70-something.
Well, what do? You just make a deal with the magazine that you can redo their...
No, I make a deal with
Nick.
With Nick. December 1970.
Hit by Butch.
Get by Butch.
Kind of a thin airfoil for a stunter, huh?
Well, this is for RC, electric, or gas.
Oh, you could make this electric. I know it's pretty small, but I got the plans home for this.
Nick and I had to talk about it. He thinks it would work fine electric.
Man, it's 54 inches. I wish I knew a guy that knew all about electric and would want to donate 2 motors to me. For free. This man does not know the word free.
Everything is free with you.
You're trying to train me.
No, it won't work. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's a pretty plane, boy. That's a beauty. What I'm amazed is how nice and neat. There's no dust in the box. When I open one of my kits up, you gotta have a gas mask. Sawdust is in there. Everything's burned on the edge from the laser cutting, you know? This is nice and neat.
The dust is all on him.
Yeah.
Actually, it's still in. My wife even said, your pants are impregnated with dust before you go to the meeting.
You know what? I'm really impressed. The quality of the wood is really good.
Well, that's why we make our own wood, so we can control it.
No. I need you to keep me in mind when you get that 6-pound wood in.
6 or 4 is a big difference.
Yeah, no. Look how quick, look how...
You got a block, I found a block with your name on it in the wood shop.
I need
haven't
it cut,
cut it. What are you gonna do with that?
Sanded, too.
Oh, that big one? Yeah.
I was gonna carve a...
They're not on my channel yet, are they?
Messerschmitt.
Well, I cut up all the hardwood.
Sonny, I think they don't speak English. They don't understand. You go to somebody, oh, no, speak English, right? Then you say, oh, here's that $50 I owe you. Oh, yeah, I speak English. Yeah.
54 inches.
Here's the original magazine article right here.
Yeah. Nick, look how young Nick is.
Yeah, Nick's a pup there. Wow.
There's two.
I love those B-25s.
This was RC, even back in those days.
Yeah. Oh, it's a hell of a model.
If I built it,
What I do is you'll find I cut the notches a few thousandths deeper than a quarter of an inch. A 64th or 32nd deeper. And that is so you can slip in the stringer material, and what happens is it slips in without compressing the wood, and if you run your finger over this, you'll feel that the former is up front. Then you can, as you're building, you can use your fingertips, which are more sensitive than eyes or any other instrument, and all you have to do is put a drop of sap on, or any of those glues. Yeah, any of those quick drying glues. And but this airplane will go together like this dry.
What's the trick on making a B-25, on making the nacelles? Like laying these out real accurately, putting the stringer things in. I mean, what's the trick to that? I haven't done that.
Trick. It's just building.
No, I'm trying to see, because I don't usually recarve a block. A stunt stick is a
You're talking
block.
about for the hole in the cell.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no.
for making a cell, if I get accurate templates, the guy bowling that's doing the templates.
This actually is the nacelle for a B-38 Lightning.
Okay.
Not a B-25.
it's a good thing you practiced before so you can demonstrate it the way you did.
No, I know that.
That money hasn't spoiled him, huh?
You see the X in the corner? That's the piece you had to put.
Yeah, right. Okay, I don't know about this aeroplane. No, this is done a little bit different. On the big versions of this, the nacelles are built just like the fuselage. The formers look the same.
Okay. It's really the same to the end of the wing, and then it tapers back, almost. The real one.
Well, a real one. And what we do there is we have a central core of plywood that shows the rear end shape of the nacelle.
Okay, yeah.
And 2 soft 4 to 6 pound blocks of light
On each
balls
side,
glued to each side, and the modelers have the initial shape is there, and he's got to shape it in.
Okay.
On the top block, as you know, on a B-25, the air intake is on the top. It's wasted like an hourglass for a woman, and bears back. I make those out of balsa wood in quadrature. That is, the top view and the side view reflect.
And then you just fine-tune it in, yeah.
And then all the modeler has to do is fine-tune it in, glue it down, and then sand it and around the edges. So what that looks like in the final analysis is a function of the modeler. There's got to be some building in these things.
Well, I have never made a plane with nacelles before, and I was looking at, like, I didn't think of the stringers.
Next Tuesday.
Good night, Ed. Now, in this one, it's a simpler job. On his nacelles, there are no stringers. It's just sheeted over former.
And what's the trick for sheeting? Like this B-17 is all
Okay, the trick for sheeting these airplanes, if you're using, let's say, for example, 1/8 inch wood, is to set your saw, typically a bandsaw or whatever saw you have, a bandsaw, right, at 7 degrees. That'll give you almost all the model. And then when you cut, you flip. You cut and you flip.
Right, so everything's got A parallelogram.
No, parallelogram would be like this, that does you no good.
Like a
You have to
cork.
have- Yeah, like a cork.
Okay.
Like this. Then, all you do, and the ideal dimension for a round fuselage, like the B-17, is to shoot with 1/8 by ½ inch. It's what we always used to use 60 years ago.
8 by half, right?
8 by half.
But that hasn't
With a
changed
slight
that.
bevel. But you don't really need the bevel on these airplanes, because, as you pointed out earlier in your talk, weight is not as critical.
Yeah.
So we can glue these together, fill them with spackle or body putty or something like that, sand them
And usually you
down,
fiberglass them anyway.
and you're gonna glass them,
Right,
right? So, a lot of those things, a serious model builder will bevel each strip. They'll do the main strips in 4 stations at 12, 6, 3, and 9 o'clock. And that's to prevent the body from shifting and maintain the shape.
Right.
Also, then you keep adding these strips.
And you fill
until
in the
all of a
Ds.
sudden you can't fill in another strip because
Right.
it comes to a point.
Right.
Then you start using an X-Acto knife and
Yeah, yeah,
pieces
yeah.
in one by one.
I've never planked a model in my life. I made a Jetco Sabre Stunner, that was it. I may need some expert help.
It's a light, efficient, and strong way to go. I don't give the wood to the guy that way because I find radio control modelers don't have, are not that interested in doing that.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take a piece of 4-inch or 3 1/4 inch wood and they move it around the fuselage until they find out where it'll fit and they glue it down. Then they start patching it around. That works fine. It's a monocoque structure essentially when you're done with
Yeah, it's a shell.
wood,
Yeah.
fiberglass, and all of that. So you don't have to worry. And you can use hot water and ammonia, and balsa wood becomes like rubber. You just
Yeah, I
you
mold,
dip it in that.
all my things are molded.
Right,
It's a
and you
molded
can
shell.
mold the balsa wood
Mold,
anything you want.
Yeah.
But the classic old-fashioned way of planking, I built a,
I'm not that old, see, that's the problem.
you're a kid.
I'm a puppy.
When you were being born, I was building a super bucket.
Chuck, I use fantastic.
Oh, to make the
Plastic's
wood
loaded
fire.
with ammonia, what are you talking about? It's great. No,
No,
Windex
I
is
use
good, too.
ammonia and water.
Windex is good.
the water, you fantastic, just spray it on.
But actually, on this side, side's curve, you really don't even need the ammonia, just hot water. And what I do is, I take a plans tube, it's about a foot, you can use a piece of PVC, and you cap one end of it, make it 48, 42, or 36 inches long, whatever you need.
Right, right.
Cap one end of it so it's waterproof, so you can fill it with water.
Let it sit overnight.
And then all you gotta do is fill it with the hottest water you can, grab a handful of the sticks or sheets you want, jam it in there, put a cap on it to hold them in the water,
Yeah.
and let it sit for 15 or 20 minutes, and then you pull them out one by one.
I spray it with fantastic, no bucket, no nothing.
Well, spraying is good if you spray one side,
No, both
then it
sides.
curves.
I do both sides.
But that's not enough time to penetrate.
It goes right in, it's unbelievable.
Depends on the thickness of the wood.
Well, I'm talking about
Yeah.
1/8 inch.
1/8 inch.
Sheet is what I'm talking about. I found it to be very effective.
Yes, it is. Anything with ammonia softens the wood so.
On the Booker D8, we laminate.
Fantastic, loaded with ammonia, I'm
I
telling you.
said fantastic. I didn't ask you what the hell is it.
I thought you were telling me how good my haircut was.
Well, anyway, that's it.
Yeah, cool.
It is a kit. But I've been making sheeting kits for modelers.
They are really, I don't know if my people that watch the videos can see, but this is really high quality stuff.
Turn it over, do
Every piece of sand is not just on the outside, but also on the inside.
And look at this, in the box now, this is cool. No dust in the box, I'm impressed with that. And of course, Chuck's guarantee. If you don't like his kit, you come up to his house and beat the hell out of him.
You better be a pretty badass dude.
Well, I ain't gonna do it, I'm gonna pay somebody to do it. In the second floor of the shop, you wanna describe some of the, oh, look at his models here.
Garage shop.
No cars, this is what a garage was meant to be. Garage doors, but no cars. Wow.
This is some lightweight machining stuff.
Okay, so you got a Bridgeport. You got a nice lathe.
It's got a little round thing and it's got a vertical round thing.
Okay.
That's a Stuka made for one of my kids.
Okay, Stuka. Jacobone, eat your heart out. You got a guy that molds the canopies?
Yeah, Nick Zeroli.
Oh, okay. Okay, he's got a vacuum, obviously a vacuum former and everything.
Yeah,
nice.
Nicky does.
Nice. Very nice.
All the components for a Zeroli design or more.
There's just enough room here, you could go in business here. It's really nice.
in any 109G.
You know, it's nice too, you can't really estimate it, but is having a bunch of your friends over, hanging out in the shop. That really is good. Now that's a spinner. That's a spinner. How much does a model like this typically weigh? I see the retract bottle. What is it, 20, 30 pounds?
35 pounds.
35?
Yeah, 35 pounds is a good weight for this. They can weigh more, and they can certainly weigh less. They tend to weigh more because scale builders tend to put all the gingerbread in, a lot of shape, a lot of paint, and a lot of detail, a lot of weathering. This one is not that scale of detail, so it can come in lighter. An AT6, a Zeroli AT6, which is one of my kits, for competition in the T6 races, is required to weigh at least 25 pounds.
Okay, so
A smart racer builds it to weigh 25 pounds and 1/1000th of an ounce.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's easy.
Exactly.
Not easy, but it can be done easily.
Yeah.
However, guys, I've flown AT6s that weigh 35 pounds, and they fly beautifully, and they actually perform even better in landing in crosswinds than a lightweight airplane does. They're just more stable.
Yeah.
But the range is there, the power is adequate. An airplane like the T6, for example, classically has a G62, a 3.7 cubic inch engine. And that'll cover a lot of sins.
Oh, yeah, if you had to make them scale power to weight, that'd separate a lot of the,
They wouldn't fly.
well, I don't know, they wouldn't fly. The takeoff run would be a lot longer than 3 feet, like I've seen
But
some
don't
of them.
forget, we build a quarter-scale airplane that weighs 35 pounds. The real airplane might have weighed 4,000 pounds.
Well, you don't know.
So your power-to-weight ratio is in our favor, which is why we can do vertical
Sure.
maneuvers and things that
Sure.
other airplanes can't do.
They're amazing. I see the propane jets, or now they're kerosene jets. What are they running those jets now?
Kerosene and propane. Yeah,
I watch
they're
them.
not jets, they're turbines.
I watch them fuel one of them up, and they're running around like, I'm saying, this is a hobby? Wow.
Has the...
I know, yeah.
And,
Yeah, amazing. What a shop.
after he gets done, he's gotta open the thing up.
Yeah, and put a weed whacker's got to blow air in there and everything? Yeah, before it melts.
I think
Oh,
we
well.
used to have some wings under here, I'm not sure there are at the moment. Nah, I guess not. They've been moved around.
Now, this is a padded table so you can spray paint and...
Actually, it's a table saw. Underneath all of this is a big,
Yeah, oh,
a big
yeah, there's
table
the legs.
saw with added benches.
Not everybody has a bench with 4 blankets on it.
But-
Some unusual stuff here. This is one hell of a place.
And Artie's one hell of a guy.
Look at these street blade props. Hey, wow.
These are men's.
There's so much to see. You could be here for 3 days.
These are actually the flying props for the B-25 that ultimately was donated to.
Yeah. Amazing.
I have a question for you. On those tanks that you were showing,
Yeah.
can you change the end plates on those?
Sure.
Can they be made for RC?
For what? RC tanks?
RC tanks?
I don't see why not. Why?
It would be different if...
Why would you need one on a 20-pound model? It's only when you're doing ounces that counts.
Space-wise, you're getting 16 ounces in the size that you...
Oh, it's 6. No, it's 6. 6.
Not only that, sometimes we use small airplanes.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any small ones. These all look pretty big to me. I don't know.
Artie does things in a big way.
I hope you enjoyed that little trip down to Art Mosley's, and that certainly was probably the most impressive shop and group of guys I've ever seen. They really have some unbelievable models there. Some unbelievable stuff, and I hope we'll get invited back in the future. Now today, the first thing I need to do, Mike's out on a job again, so I'm going to try to get some silver on this, on all of the spots that we're going to repaint, because we're going to repaint these with a blue. And what I'm going to try to do is if I paint the blue over silver and then over these colors, it's not going to look the same. I'd like to get 1 coat of silver on everything here for Mike today. Maybe even get the blue on later today. We've hit a time where the weather's just been outstanding here. This is the first step, is we want to try to find any spot here. See, if I didn't do this, what would happen, the blue is kind of a thin see-through color. See, there's spots Mike sanded through here. I can't forget the tip weight bar. I've done that before. Forgot the tip weight bar. You got to load the paint in the gun. This is the old paint job that we're going over. Well, it looks like it's a nice enough day. We'll be able to get the color on here later today. I gotta kind of look at the sun here. Now, whenever you're going over old paint like this, good idea to put in about double the amount of fisheye killer, even though that's not standard body shop procedure. Body shops are not usually dealing with such oil-soaked wood parts. Again, we'll find out how this is going to work out. I'm looking for any spot. Now, see, here's a little spot up here where we have sand through. You'd see that in a final, especially in the letters. Don't want to have that right there as a little spot. So this plane has had some life. We're on the third wing that's in the plane. The third paint job. Truly a legendary piece of equipment. The original Brodak Candy Apple color paint job plane. Now, the reason I'm trying to do this for Mike is because we're coming up on a time of the year when it is, if not inconvenient, impossible to paint. But once the weather goes south here, and that's coming up real soon, it won't be possible to do this kind of painting. So we'd like to get it done. And you never know in the weather we have here, if it's going to be humid, cold, combination of both, all of the above. Now once we have this based out, and let's just see, I have to look at there. A couple little fish eyes back there, Mike, you didn't like that down. It's nice, I can blame him. Whoop, I just put my shirt into the plane. Well, there goes the wind, as I just said it. You never know if this afternoon it would be a lot windier. I'm going to try to work on this. Give this an hour or so to dry. Once that's dry, we'll be ready to lay in the blue. And this day is just shaping up to be too good for me. I feel like I live in California here. Kind of Anaheim weather. Anyway, we're going to kind of put the push on this afternoon because I would like to get the colored paint on here. Take advantage of such an unusually nice day. Keep in mind, we're not far from Christmas here, a couple weeks from Christmas. Our Christmas tree this is what it must be like to have Christmas in Florida or California then. No snow on the ground, we haven't had any snow yet. Haven't even had any really super cold weather. The fish aren't even in hibernation yet. For a job, I want to set up a table out here and hope that the wind isn't going to be blowing too bad so I can do a lot of my painting. I can't hold it in one hand and do the detail kind of work I want to do. I need to have it jacked up like this. And what I'm trying to do is just fog in some black along the edge of the lettering. Try to give it a little bit of a three-dimensional look. And what this will do, this will just make it look a little more three-dimensional. I got the gun set on a very low pressure here. Almost acting like an airbrush. If I wanted to do this even thinner, I could use the airbrush. Another thing to remember when you do an airbrush, a lot of times if you're going to put tape on top of it, and again, this will have tape on top of it, a tentative problem with an airbrush is you don't get a really good bind like you do with a spray gun. Congratulations to John Bensley, who I just heard has won the British Nationals with a partner. I don't know if we're really going to like the way this looks, but again, we can always go over if we decide to change. We got to be careful of the wind. You can see the wind coming up here. What we're looking for is nice feather edges here. While we put the glue down. Just keep thinking about that shop that Art Muglia has. Imagine some of the work you could do there. A shop like that. Oh, man. Awesome. It's always nice to see how other modelers work, what their little tricks of the trade are. Thanks to Dave King, who shot some of that footage for us. I don't know what he got, I haven't reviewed it yet. Basically have to deal with the wind right now. Right now the wind, I have to keep one hand on a plane almost. And we were going to set up the garage with the wind blowing it. Problem is, in a garage, the humidity is so high, it's almost unusable. Even with the fan in there that we have, might put a big fan in the roof. Humidity is just astronomical. So that was kind of disappointing because I thought we'd have a spray booth in there eventually, and instead, I'm just going to have to learn how to tough it out. I didn't get to see at Art Muglia's shop if they had a spray booth. Maybe they have one there. I just slipped by me. Anyway, I'm just trying to put a little bit of a dark edge on everything. Now what I'm going to do is paint this whole side of the plane and then flip it over. It's just going to be real difficult to do both sides. See, if I had Mike here, of course it would be nice. I had anybody here. Trying to get some nice feather edging in along the edges. Possible. Again, you got to remember the incredible history of this plane. This is really a piece of stunt history as far as I'm concerned. Not many planes have gone through what this puppy's gone through. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to let this dry for 10-15 minutes. Keep an eye on it, babysit it, but then I'm going to mix up some candy blue. Rodak Candy Apple Blue, a really nice color, covers well, and we'll try to fade some of that in. What makes this part of it fun is there's so many Rodak colors to choose from. We're going to take Rodak Candy Apple Blue for this part of it. Again, these are the real things that really sparkle when they're done right. This is one of the things I really like about using Rodak Candy colors. You really get that deep color, especially if you edge it in black like I just showed. This week we cleaned up the shop so we'd have a spot to lay the B-25 down on. I don't know, maybe we'll get a rug or something here even. A little bit cleaner rug. Because I like to get the look of how this is going to look now. What I'll probably do here is just spray this blue and try to leave just a little edge right in the middle for highlighting, or if I don't like that, I guess I can put a third color right down the center. Again, you have so many choices with Rodak Candy Apple Dope. If you haven't seen that original tape where we did this plane, Mike, when it had the first ring in it, when it was in one piece and brand new, well, it's carrying on a fine tradition. It actually has a nice look now. I know almost everybody in our club really liked this when Mike first brought it out. I liked it too. There's a good video too, a lot of good tips on that Candy Apple Brodag video. The past is the past, and we need to get outside and let's see how this is going to look with the blue on it. Get some idea how this is going to coverage. Notice that I'm going right over the black, so that the black will ultimately become a very dark blue. You can see some of the, I'm trying to leave the center as slightly silver as possible. Sometimes you can't do that. If you can see on the video just how bright these Brodag colors are. They're done with dyes, not outer pigments, but dyes. I'll make sure I don't forget to thank Bob Brookins, who was really helpful when we were doing this in the prototype stage, and he was really instrumental in helping us come up with some of the really nice colors. And see, I'm trying to leave that right just the way it is. I don't know if you can see that. It's the richness of the colors that really make this special. And the candy colors, it's good not to over thin them just enough that you get a little spray dust at the end, because it's that dust that's going to allow this to blend in. And what I'll do before we pull the tape up is put one coat of clear on top of everything. This will have to dry thoroughly. Put a coat of clear on top of it, which will accent it even more. And it's where the candy color fades that it really, to me, it really looks exciting then. That's kind of a California custom car look. How come they don't say a New Jersey custom car look? If you want to see some really pretty paint, take a look at the latest Yamahas that have this, pretty much this color of blue. The Yamaha Street Fight, some kind of a candy apple, a little bit of pearl in it. Again, up. I think I'm going to run out of hose here pretty soon. Again, just want to fade back, try to get it to spray at about between 10 and 15 pounds. Feather the edges in. In this case, I'm going to leave the center highlighted silver for a little bit of a different look. If you can pick up the color and how nice these colors really are. Again, I got to be real careful here because of the wind. Needless to say, we're going to let this dry. This has to dry thoroughly. Then we'll flip it over and do the bottom. Again, if we had a helper, we'd be able to do the whole thing at once. The colors, I think this is one of my favorites, is the Brodag Candy Apple Blue. And I'm not sure you can see this in the video until it's totally buffed out, but this is one of the colors that just absolutely jumps out at you. And the last thing, once this is dry, both sides, we'll put one coat of clear over everything. And then Mike will have to go back and back mask the whole thing. And while he's doing that on that day, we'll be working on some of our other shop projects. today. We got some cool stuff in the mail today. Some photos from Joe Thompson, and I'll read his caption. This is a Tom Dixon time machine with a double star 60 light, monocoated. This is another one of his ships, a Tempest 2 from Randy Smith, Super Tiger 60 by George Aldrich, monocoated. And here's one I just flip out when I see this. Let me tell you something. This is one. Remember I keep telling everybody someday I'm going to build that biplane, stunting biplane. Well, someday, believe it or not, there will be a windy stunt biplane. Absolutely, definitely going to be a windy stunt biplane. Anyway, those are from Joe Thompson, and Joe, I appreciate it a whole lot. We all know our good friend Joe Ortiz, one of my seriously best friends, one of the most underrated people in the world of stunt, done so much for stunt. Some old photos I had of him, I was going to send him and Peggy out these old photos, and I went through the box looking for some. And there's some really nice nostalgic shots of Joe when he was in the Flushing area here. I gotta tell you, Joe's currently battling cancer down there in Tucson, where he moved a couple of years ago. But Joe is obviously one of the people where I don't even know how to. I was hoping I could come up with some really nice pictures for Joe from the good old days. Here's a funny picture, and I took about something Joe would appreciate. This is a picture of. I don't even know what we were dressed up for, but his wife was dressed up too. It looks like we look like Donnie and Maria, the pattern master team. Anyway, I wanted to put together a nice little package of stuff for Joe. I know when you're not feeling well. Some old pictures, my old house. But the funny stuff, I'm looking through these old pictures. Funny stuff, we used to have squirrels come right to the window and take peanuts out of your hand. Oh, when I look at old photos, it just reminds me of how good my life has been, how lucky I've been to have so many good friends, and just how much fun the whole thing has been over the years. It's almost like if I wrote a script for having a life of my dreams, that I don't know how it actually could be any better. Anyway, I'll make up a little package here for Joe. I know these old pictures, I laugh about it, but there's something about having a nice collection of old pictures of when you were younger, and I guess videos do the same thing. Good old Lou Dutka, this was at the Nats in Lake Charles, and Lou and I had this rivalry year after year after year. There's a picture of Paul Walker crying. Actually, he's never crying. That's the trouble, we gotta make him. Old picture of John DeTavio, the day we had the big cookout. Some of my birdhouses that were in the tree by the other house. And I look back, a lot of times I look back at my life and I just think, geez, if I had to write a script for having a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of friends, doing something work-related with my life that I really would enjoy. I know not everybody gets to do the thing with their life that they truly enjoy. I think Joe Ortiz was one of the people that over the years, we developed a friendship that was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just unbelievable how many things we'd done together, how many places we'd gone. I talk about the reason I like old pictures. Here's a picture of Nat Gifford when he was younger. This guy now is a bodybuilder. He's about 8 feet tall. His brother, Bruce. And they had these matching shirts. This was the year they went to Reno and they drove my van out there. I don't know if you script this life, and I hope the B-25 is going to be just one more chapter in this. And I know Joe will get a big kick out of it. I didn't put together a nice little package of things. And here's a funny story with regards to this picture. This was actually, there's a funny thing now. Ted Fancher is at this Nats. I don't know if Ted's in the background. Yeah, Ted's in the background. Look at that. And one of the wheels wasn't turning right on Tradition, so this had to be 87. So I said to Ted, I says, you got any oil with you? He says, sure, I got 5 quarts over in my rent-a-car. So we went over and took the dipstick out, and we oiled the wheel. To show you how the Americans improvise, this is why they typically rule the world. Anyway, another picture with Peggy. Boy, and I think how many days we had out at and you can't even count the days. How many days we had out at Flushing Meadow when we all were younger? Russ Hunsberger's wife, how many times they'd come to the house and we'd work on planes till midnight or later? I don't know. Brings Tom Dixon's old T-Bird. He let Bob Gieske fly that at one team trials. George Gatis' Nats winning P-38. This has a real cannon in the front of it. He brought it to a meeting one night and shot it off. Oh, it just makes me crazy to think how old we're all getting. Oh, Lou McFarland, one of the people I always thought was one of the cool people. Hall of Fame member, another Hall of Fame member. Big Art had to miss him. Joe Ortiz's cat. I bet Joe doesn't have any pictures of that cat left. Anyway, my original plane, I made one of the original Cardinal-type planes. And Billy Suarez. Billy hasn't really been that active lately, but when you look through the old albums, you just see picture of Mike Rogers. By the way, there's Big Jim sitting there on the barrel like he used to at Flushing. To think of a picture from the 87 Nats, Billy giving me a launch on top 5 day, or who knows what, has to be top 5 day. Oh no, that's a year I didn't get 5th. I got 3rd that year. That's unbelievable. There was actually a year I did not get 5th, and that's it. There it is right there. The memories. It's true. I really did not get 5th this year. I got 3rd. But anyway, point I'm making when somebody doesn't feel good, if you have some old pictures, some old photos, some old Windy video, old Bob Hunt videos, who cares? Just, if you know somebody's down and out or they're battling a disease or having a bad time, nothing like a bunch of old photos to warm up your life. Anyway, we're going to get back to the shop. Just a thought, a random thought, something you might want to put in the bank for future reference. I got this in the mail today. I got it with a newsletter from Bruce Hunt. I guess he's the editor of this Western Oregon Control Line Flyers. Anyway, this is kind of cool. 52 Nobler. Look at this close. You know what this reminds you of? When you were a kid, didn't you have these Lionel train things that you used to put together? You put little pieces together and make cardboard buildings and stuff. Well, obviously you can twist and fold and bend and fold, and who needs one of those expensive Brodak Nobler kits when you can just download this, I guess, off the internet or something? Look at these. You got the prop, the canopy. Anybody ever make the canopy for the Green Box Nobler where they show you to glue it and everything? No way. Nobody ever did that. I never did it. Bruce's newsletter, kind of cool. He's got a little story about George. You know, you got to realize we're all getting older. Here's a picture I remember, Sil Havey. Nice paint job on that plane. Again, it's got to be a good one for somebody to copy here. George when he was about, well, a teenager or whatever. Anyway, some cool Larry Scarinzi, some neat old photos here. And how to build yourself. If you're sick and tired of all those expensive Brodak kits, hey, sick and tired of Lindy's kits, just pick up one of these George Aldrich 52 Noblers and a can of glue and you're all set. Anyway, get down the shop and get some work done here. Over the past few days, I've been putting together the end of the Rabe rudder linkage in my mind. Now, the original plane that we made had a real tight fit here. We didn't have room for the linkage as such. This one I've left a little more clearance. In fact, I've taken a little more off this side. And what I want to do is fashion up an adjustable linkage with a little clevis on one end. And in this, I want to set, and this is really the old-fashioned way of doing it, but in this case, because I want that tight fit, it's the more practical of the two ways. Made this little linkage up, this is actually the old-fashioned way we used to do it, and now the modern one has a ball link and a half fillet, but since this is a take-apart plane, that half fillet would just be more of a problem than it's worth. So what I did, I measured with the rudder about 7 degrees off, which is what Al Raby suggested, to, and by the way, that article he wrote in Stunt News is an excellent article. Up here I took made a copper bushing, roughened it up with a Dremel tool, and soldered a little ball with some copper wire on the end so that this now can pivot inside that bushing. Now I need to attach this into the edge of the elevator and then check that I have the right clearance and fit, because if I don't, before it's a permanent thing, I can either make it longer or shorter by just making up a new rod. Took an ice pick and just set this. I want to be as close to the horn as possible in this dimension. In other words, I don't want this any lower than it has to be, and I want it to be right at the high point here, which is about 3/8 of an inch behind the pivot point. And that's proven to give me the kind of travel, and it's fully adjustable, of course, but that's a good starting point. I'm not sure if this is going to be the exact size. I want a fit on that tubing, but not a sloppy fit. Looks like I'm going to have to move it up just a little bit. I'm hitting the tube that's in there. And if it comes out the bottom, I'll make a little cap for it, that's all. You can tell all that wood was hardened up with CA. Did here is put just a drop of chain lube or Vaseline. You can see it's still sticky on the end, so hopefully the epoxy will not stick to that. And I'll get some 5-minute epoxy, just put a very small amount on here, and keep rotating this so that the epoxy doesn't stick to this, but yet it holds the bushing in. Again, I think I like the little ball link method that we've used in the past. It's better than this, but because of the tight fit, this I think is the more practical of the two solutions. And the trick here is to babysit this for the full 5 minutes at a time that this is going to kick off, so it doesn't stick. And we need this tight fit here, that's the key thing. Yep, a little bit too tight. As long as I keep spinning this, during the time the epoxy is going off, that won't stick. Then I'll harden this edge up with thin CA, put another coat of silver on this, silver the tail section, and we should be ready. Should end one more little detail. Put that dried up. I'll drop one thin drop of WD-40 in there just to get some lubrication, but there'll be plenty of oil on that as soon as we fly the plane. Now once this is totally dry and that bushing is totally dry, take some wet and dry sandpaper and sand that, and of course put some silver on that edge. That takes care of one more little job that we were just looking to get out of the way. One of the other little details we have to finish before this plane will be ready for paint. Okay, that's finished. I'm going to put this aside to dry. I'm going to start working one more little detail. We have to make a tip weight box in the wing. Really coming up on the spot where these parts have a reasonable coat of silver on them. But as I find flaws, it just pays to go back and fix them while everything's in silver. It's always easier to fix the flaws in silver than once we start the paint. Now the wing, we're going to bring it over to the table, put our pad on, and lay out a tip weight box. And since this is the first one we've done on a composite wing, we need to kind of figure it out as we're going along. I have to do is figure out where I want to have the tip weight box. Traditionally, I like to get it as far forward as possible, And maybe we'll try to get it right up around here. Now, one of the things that it's always easy to do is just lay it out with tape. Tried to lay out where I thought this should be. Now what I want to do, I want to cut this piece out, physically cut it out with a Dremel tool. I guess this, see, because we haven't done this before, this is just I'm trying to do this in my mind before I actually do it. Sure what the most practical way to cut this is going to be. I'm going to try a parting wheel first. Lovely smell, by the way, as you cut Kevlar. I don't want this to fall into the wing. Just make a nuisance. Ooh, ooh, ooh. On the thread here. Now with this part out, some idea of just how that wing skin is working for me here. I'll dress the rest of this off with one of my John Pothier, soon to be immortal, Bud McKnight sanding sticks. Again, with Kevlar, there's always little threads, and I'll have to seal it with thin CA eventually, of course. Nice about laying out a tip weight box, it's probably one of the few pieces of the plane you don't have to worry about how light it is. By stripping off some, see if I have some scrap balsa wood here, and just make some end grain pieces. I want the grain going in the straight up and down direction. What I'm going to do is try to pick up that little line on the bottom, that edge. I'll pick that angle up. Now make another one because the curve will be similar here. I have the thick CA on the curved part here. I'll try to get about a 90-degree straight up and down angle on that. I'll leave this a little bit oversized so I can sand it in. And I'll do the same thing to all the sides, so in essence I have a box. Now the next thing, I have this glued in all the angles and corners. The next thing is going to be to block sand this roughly down. Just leave just a little bit overage, but block sand it down because then I want to fit up all the interior of this. So all rough sanded, and this is rough. This is going to kick right off because there's a lot of balsa dust here. I want to harden up this edge, actually harden up the whole wall. Pew, because this corner is going to be one of the things that when you're putting the tip weight in and out of the plane, it always takes a beating. You can get that edge roughed in right now. And one of the things I'm doing today, I'm working on a time limit, because the last thing of the day, I want to put the white on the wing that'll be the background of the lettering, and I don't have an unlimited amount of time to do it. Now again, what I'll do is just keep these edges, whoops. And what that does, that hardens up that edge so I have an edge to work off. And the problem is we really are running out of time and I need to get that white paint on the wing, so what I'll do is I'm going to get as much of this done as I can and cut it off so that I can get the white paint on. That'll be the background of our lettering. Again, I'm trying to use that time management thing to my advantage. Start right now getting a radius on all these edges and corners. And once I break through to the wood, harden it with thin CA, so I get that hard edge. We're measuring up and this will be the base that'll hold the bolt that actually holds the tip weight in. 1/8" plywood. Pays to just, I'll cut this about a 1/16 of an inch oversize, make sure I got all 90-degree angles so it fits, and then right in the center of it, I'm going to drill a hole and put a 632 blind nut and bolt that'll hold the tip weight in place once this is glued in place. Drill it and put a 632 bolt with a lock washer and a nut on one side because I really want this to be in there nice and solid. This is what's going to hold the tip weight. Now I ground the head of the bolt off just so there wouldn't be any chance it would go through into the Nomex. Now I just need to fit this in, get this level, and recess that right into the box. It's a nice tight press fit. I'm just going to soak this with some thin CA to kind of hold it in place. Put a little drop on the blind nut. That'll ensure that won't come loose in time. I have seen planes with lightweight tip weight boxes that have, it's destroyed the wing when that tip weight gets loose. That's why we always choose to bolt it in. I want to harden all the exposed wood with thin CA. This is just to make it more durable. Because every once in a while you slip with the pliers and you don't want to put a big chunk in this. Fortunately, we're not meeting our time deadline here, and I do want to get that white paint on a wing. The reason is the white paint is going to be the base. Even though I haven't finished this, and I'll make the little piece tomorrow. See, this is the part that I always talk about time management. The time management thing is, if I would have finished this tonight, I have about another half-hour work. If I had finished this, what's going to happen is, tomorrow I'll come down to the shop, I'll want to paint the white, and now 10 minutes into the day, I'm done and I got to let that dry overnight. But if I paint the white tonight, what'll be the base of the lettering, I want the letters to all have white outlines, so I want to basically have white, and this way I don't have to backmask twice. It's a little bit of an upgrade over the way we used to do the lettering, or did the lettering, and I like the custom lettering a lot. Just like on our Brodak. The thing that's different about this lettering, it can be infinitely tailored to fit the model, the shape of the wing, the round, the trim. And also, one thing it has is, when you look at it, you don't say, oh, I know what font that is. We just did that with a computer and printed it out. This has the look of something hand done. So I need to paint that section with this section where the lettering is going to be, I need to paint that white tonight before it gets dark. I'm going to let a little thing like it being dark out stop me. Anyway, it's just light enough that we're going to be able to paint this today. Well, the advantage we're going to have here is tomorrow, hopefully. Tomorrow will be that magic day. We'll be able to start the lettering. But we'd want this to dry overnight. This is going to be the base. Even when it's dark, Brodak dope shines up nice. It really is easier to paint in daylight. But, you know, there's another part of it too. If you're determined to do something, Don't let a little thing stop you, like not having any time, no sun, whatever. Uh-oh, they're coming to get me. Anyway, I heard that Rich Jacobone's Stuka is now ready for a shop visit here to check it out. I hope he's going to be able to make it tomorrow, the next day, whenever. Look forward to seeing his plane. Rich has really come a long way. Even now. Oh, I can't believe it's so dark. Again, I only need to do where the lettering, the tentative lettering job will be. But this will save all the backmasking, because what I would have to do at the final thing is backmask all the silver, both sides, and do white. This will be definitely a time saver. And maybe the edges will even be nicer in the final analysis too. That's all I need to do. Now, as part of our time management, and this is certainly going to be one thing, is we'll buy an extra day by having that white on there, painting it in the dark. Still need to work on the tip weight box. I need to make the cover in, but I can do that while the rest of my stuff is drying. So by planning this out accurately, may or may not be able to make up some time here. See you tomorrow. Long day. The last little bit, I have to make the little piece that's going to hold the cover in place, make the cover. I have the white laid out, so once that's done, then I can start laying out my lettering. But we're also, like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing Rich's new plane. But I think we're coming up on the end of this tape, I'm not sure. Need to lay out a little piece of wood with a blind nut, of course. Then I want to cut a plug of wood that'll be the hatch. Get the blind nut in there and sand this perfectly smooth and get this ready for primer, some silver, some clear. And once this is drying, then I can lay out the lettering. Always put a little bit of grease or oil on that screw so that when I CA the blind nut, I don't have any get in by the threads. Now I just want to get this piece centered in here. Part of this is I need to make a piece that's going to go right on top of here and hold the block, so I can kind of interpolate where that bolt is going to be, even though that's not real critical. And this is going to be the base. And all we need to do, once I get a little, I need to put a washer and eyelet or something in here. It's a little more complicated than it looks to get all these little parts working the way you want. But it's the sequence of things, and I think if you can pick that up from the tape. Now what we're going to do, because I have oil on the bolt, is just put one drop of CA around this washer, and then make a cover plate for this. Every time you do this, you glue the part in place. Now we need to know, we need to do this, we have to come up with kind of a new system, because what we're going to be doing on a B-25, of course, the tip will be totally different than our normal tip. Lead-outs are going to come out way at the bottom. So all I got to do now is make a cover for this, a balsa cover, and sand it in. Basically, you don't have to use the lightest piece of wood, but this now gives us the exact screw location. So once I saw this off, drill that out, I should have a relatively good fit around the edges. Now with this in place, I can get an idea. Well, see, I still need to trim some off of here. It's too tight of a fit. See, now I've got a little bit better fit. In the front here, it's a little soft, so I'll make a little shim. You can see that's still too tight. I want to have a little bit of clearance around here. Little piece, I can just skim some of this off the easy way. Do the rest with a sanding block. Then I need to put a finish, put some thin CA, harden this up, and go get a coat of silver on it. And I'll be ready then to finalize this little detail. Well, you know, we usually do the wingtips in 2 shells, but this will give you another possibility, another way that you can do this. And having a lot of choices is always better than no choices, that's for sure. Now the rest I can do with a sanding block. Anyway, we are almost at the end of this tape, so again, I hope you've, say it over and over again, hope you've picked up some good tips. These are tips you can apply to any, really, if you're building a Banshee, you could pick this up. Finish this off with some smooth paper, then again, I want to harden that all up. See, by having these edges hard, it gives me something, and a block, you almost can't make a mistake and miss the contour, or get it close anyway. Pick up the work on this on the next tape. Hey, I hope you really had a good time. Be painting this guy soon, bring him back to life.